Welcome back to the Early Weigh-In Podcast. Going down later today, UFC Vegas 97 at the Apex. After a week off here, back for a 12-fight card before the UFC sets us up for a fantastic pay-per-view, UFC Noche 307 next week. Won't waste too much time, man. Let you recap the last UFC event, which I do believe we both profited from. Hit a nice little prop on GM3. Let you recap those, man, and then we'll get down to business.
Yeah, that's certainly the highlight of both our cards. I ended up tailing you on that Mearshart round 2 sub and round 3 sub, knowing that Shabazian's a little bit of a quitter, and Mearshart likes to get those subs in the later rounds. That was a must, plus 1,700 and plus 1,800. And then you also had Cavalcante in the over 1.5 in the Bazooka Marshall fight for a unit. You ended up profiting 2.6 units and 158% return on investment. I'd say that's pretty good. Looking over at my card, went all dog shots. That's all dog shots. Had Ryan Loader versus Robert Valentine. Loader just like a sneaky Bo Nickel, like a great value Bo Nickel. I think that he has a lot of good matchups in his future, but probably limited. Mm-hmm. Gerald Mearshart over Edmond. I did him straight and then tailed you on the Mearshart sub. And then Jose Daniel Medina versus Zachary Reese. I had plus 550. There were a couple of times where, I thought
it went to decision. It went to decision. You had value on it all day, in my opinion.
Yeah.
No one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If that was going into that, I'm like, if he could just push him outside of round 1, I think he covers the plus 550 price tag. It's just like he doesn't have the volume. He's pretty bad. Unfortunately, he's pretty bad, but still plus 4.49 units on the night. Solid night for both of us for sure. We go over to the first fight of the card, which was a rescheduled bout from 2 weeks earlier. Zigomantis Ramaska taking on Nathan Fletcher at 145 pounds. I think Ramaska, he's a judo specialist. He probably winds up on top more often than not when it goes to the ground. And then I also think that Ramaska probably has a little bit cleaner stand-up game. He's a little bit longer. I think that he can keep range if it does stay on the feet the whole time. But Fletcher does have a sneaky jiu-jitsu game. I lean Ramaska here, but it's not a fight that I'm looking to bet. We just haven't seen enough from either guy, but Ramaska's the pick for me.
Extremely similar thoughts. We broke this down 2 weeks ago. You said you thought both of them had staph infection, and I do believe Fletcher was pulled on fight day for what I think was staph infection. So nice to pick up on that. And it's nothing you really like to see on a quick turnaround, knowing he's battling something like that. You got to lay juice on him. I do think that Fletcher's probably got the cleanest advantage in the fight with his jiu-jitsu. I feel like he's able to get the back and ride out some time. But I do agree, man, the athleticism, the size that Ramaska is going to bring in here, the striking advantage, it definitely makes him a live dog. Just not one I'm really tempted to go to the well yet. Want some more data on him, like you said. Ramaska going to be the pick for me, starting off with an underdog. Moving up the card to 185, man, Andre Petroski taking on Dylan Budka. I had all this to say prior to Dylan Budka stepping on the scale. I don't know where Dylan Budka beats Andre Petroski. If I'm just being 100% honest, I think Petroski's a lot better grappler, wrestler, submission grappler. I think he's a better striker. You got the worry of Petroski gassing, and I feel like that's the only way that Dylan Budka was going to win this fight is if we do see Petroski start to slip off in the later rounds. To me, Petroski's a guy who is 6-2 in the UFC. Dylan Budka's 0-1. I feel like it's plain as day to me who's a better fighter here. You got Sean Brady in the main event, Petroski a main training partner on the card. This is kind of another get-right spot for Petroski to me. I think he's pretty clear favorite, should come out on top here.
I think he should come out on top as well. I think Budka's kind of forced to play into Andre's game, and Andre probably will be the stronger guy initially. I looked at doesn't go the distance at plus 120, and then I'd also thought about hitting the under 1.5 because I think a lot of the times Andre just goes in there and kind of ragdolls Budka. We've seen Budka give up before in the past mentally, and then on top of all that, him getting on the scales just tells me that this is a recipe that's not going to go to the judges. And I love my 185ers at plus money unders. And so it's like I made that bet 3 days ago. I have not put it on my card yet, but that is certainly what I'm looking at. I might talk myself into it. Petrosky's the play, but I think he gets it done in like round 1.
Yeah.
And that I'll have to check out some props before we actually put out our cards, but that's how I'm looking at this fight for sure.
I agree.
Moving down to the women's strawweight division, Jacqueline Amorim taking on Vanessa Demopoulos. Vanessa is not a great fighter, but she is scrappy, and
she tries hard.
yeah, she tries really hard, and ultimately that covers a lot of women's win percentage. Like she just doesn't have any quit in her. And so looking at these odds, initially I'm like, I think Vanessa Demopoulos plus 260. And you just look at how she's been lined in her entire UFC career. It is a plus EV play,
Right.
If we don't see Jacqueline come out here and starch her, I think that we get a much closer fight than the line is telling us. And that's why I'm ultimately going to lay off of betting a side here. But we might have some interesting props. I know you had talked a little bit about that before we started. Morum's the pick. But I do think it'll be really tough for her to cover that price tag if she doesn't get a quick finish.
Couldn't agree more, man. I have written down here in my notes is this goes to decision, and you 100% want the Vanessa ticket in your hands. Not only is she more proven, I guess, over the decision, but she's already stolen 2 decisions that I don't think she should have deserved in the first place in the Apex already. So judges, for some reason, do like Vanessa Demopoulos, but I feel like the size, the length of Jacqueline will cause her trouble on the feet, and if Vanessa even plays around with her on the mat, Corey McKenna had never been submitted either in her career. I just think Amorim is on a different level of jiu-jitsu than a lot of these girls, and if Vanessa is going to tangle around with her on the mat, I do think she's going to get submitted, man. 8-1, Jacqueline Amorim, 6 of those wins, first round sub. We both took the flyer on a round 1 sub, I think plus 800, plus 900 against Corey McKenna. Here we are getting it like plus 700 against Vanessa. So I jumped in for a quarter unit, hoping for a quick sub. Amorim, I do feel like that's kind of her path to victory. If it does get to 2 and 3, I would never lay the 2-1 price tag or whatever she has on her, man. Gabriel Santos versus Yiza at 145. Pretty good fight, man. Gabriel Santos, pretty unfortunate to be 0-2 in the UFC. 2 tough matchups right out the gates. When I was looking at his Tapology page, you can tell the UFC likes him, man. They tried everything they could to get this guy back on track, giving him the Weston Wilson treatment, And so they like him. They want to get him back on track here. I do think Gabriel Santos is the side. I think he's a little bit better striker. I do think he's the better submission grappler here. Yazzie, one thing going for him, though, the dude's only 27 years old, and this will be his 30th pro fight. So he's got a ton of experience. He might be a better top wrestler, but I don't think he has near the submission skills of Gabriel Santos, and I think Gabriel Santos is a lot sharper on the feet too. So I'm on the Gabriel Santos side. I know you're looking at a play on some type of finish for Gabriel Santos, so might keep an eye on that as well. He's going to be the side for me, siding with the favorite here.
Yeah, I am not a believer in the Asian fight scene yet. You'll see I'm trying to fade them on both the Chinese fighters on this card. I'm trying to fade them both. Yiza, I'm pretty sure that I would come out with a decent record if I fought the majority of the people that he's put his record against. I think that he is super comfortable on the ground, and that's going to play right into the Brazilian's game. Gabriel Santos, most of Yiza's wins are by submission. I think that they're both going to be comfortable trying to go to the grappling, and I just think that Santos is a little bit stronger. I think that he's a little bit more slick on the ground, and I think if they're playing that game on the ground, give me Gabriel Santos. It's plus 310 by submission, and I'm always looking to fade a Chinese fighter, to be honest with you.
I like it.
So easy play for me. I think that's 24%. And I think I'm right, but either way, the price is worth it for me. If they're going to be playing on the ground, give me Gabriel Santos. All right, moving down to the flyweight division, Andre Lima taking on Felipe Dos Santos. Both these guys are pretty tough. Felipe Dos Santos has a little bit of quitter in him, and I just like Andre Lima's pace that he brings. I think that he'll end up melting Felipe down the stretch. I didn't love the price tag at minus 186 because Lima is a little bit hittable, but I think that he'll probably be able to tough it out. really push through in those later rounds and win pretty convincingly.
Real good fight, man. I was looking at Andre Lima. I think is 25 years old. Felipe Dos Santos only 23. Both these guys super young, long UFC career in front of them. I like Andre Lima here, but if I'm just being honest with you, I haven't been that impressed with the guy in his first two UFC fights. Before the getting bit in their Cervino fight, he's given up 4 or 5 takedowns. It kind of looks like he's slowing down a bit, and then really felt like he failed to put a stamp on that Mitch Raposo fight, making it way closer than it needed to be, missing weight. All that aside, I do think Andre Lima has all the tools to beat Felipe Dos Santos here, man. I feel like Andre Lima's Muay Thai is on a different level than Felipe, and I feel like Felipe is way too hittable to stand in front of Lima. Lima's got sharp hands, way more power, incredible calf kick. Haven't seen him go to too many takedowns, but, Dos Santos should have lost that fight to Altamirano, man. Plain as day, gave up way too many takedowns, didn't show nothing off his back, didn't show too much takedown defense. So it's always a path to victory for guys who are going to fight him, even if I don't think it's in this matchup here. I just kind of think Andre Lima is way too clean for Felipe. Anytime Felipe is going to get into range, he's going to get the calf kick beat up. He's going to get, countered. So I'm on the Andre Lima side as well. Told you I considered an Andre parlay, Petrosky and Andre Lima at plus money. Maybe even looking at Lima straight. Kind of my last bet I'm teetering on before the fight starts, something involving Andre Lima this week. So he's the side for me, man. Moving back up to 145, Isaac Dorgarian versus Brendan Marotte. I don't really want to spend too much time on it. Minus 2,000. Isaac Dorgarian under 1.5. It's like minus 360. Plain as day what we all think is going to happen here. I feel like Isaac's going to get him down with his wrestling. Isaac in round one is one of the scariest fighters, especially at 145. His wrestling's top notch, and what I like most is when he gets on top, he's active. He's very active with his ground and pound, looking to put you away. And I think that's what's going to happen here, man. So go ahead and pass it over to you. Isaac Dorgarian, round one TKO for me.
Okay, so I think that the most playable line on this fight is Isaac Dorgarian by submission in round one at plus 270. I think they've got it at minus money for him to get the knockout round one, and he's got plenty of finishes. We think he's going to get it to the ground. I think there's going to be opportunity. It was plus 280 yesterday, and we've lost 10 points, but I still think that it's that's the line if I'm going to play anything. I might just put a 0.5 on it, something like that.
100%.
If he covers his price tag, it's either going to knock him out or sub him.
Well, his round one tag is like minus 200, so you get 280 plus 280 on like a sub. Definitely holds some value.
On the ground too. Yeah. So that's how I'm looking to play that fight. Moving up, one weight class to 155 pounds. Rong Zhu taking on Chris Padilla. I took another dog shot here. I like Chris Padilla. I think that he really impressed me in his last time out against Law on Top. I think that he has a clear wrestling advantage here. I think he pushes a pretty good pace, and I feel like Rong Zhu, even though he's got 30 fights, being only 24, it still seems like he's a little bit of an unfinished product. Chris Padilla isn't that great, but I do like how he can mix things up, and I think that he'll cover his price tag or even get the win here. So I did take a little stab on him at plus 210, I think, and I'm happy with it.
I don't hate it, man. He's cashed as a dog before. He's extremely experienced. I do think he's a bit more well-rounded between the two. But if Chris Padilla can't get his grappling going here, I actually think he's kind of liable to be finished on the feet. I think Rong Zhu is a lot better striker. I think he's a lot faster on the feet as well. And on the feet, I think the line's pretty accurate. It's all determined by is Chris going to be able to get the takedown? I don't know. I don't know. So ultimately, I've laid off, but at plus 210, anything above plus 200, man, I think you're on the right side of the value. Best fight on the card for me, man. Tennessee boy Trevor Peek taking on Yanel Ashmos. I, truth be told, expected the money line to go the other way. I did not expect Trevor Peek to be receiving the love this week, especially when you see the pictures of Ashmos online, when you see his knockout of Sam Patterson. I kind of thought that the money would be coming in on Yanel Ashmos. We might be able to get our Tennessee boy at plus money. I might have taken a stab then. He's a guy who's stupid durable. I don't want to say his cardio is phenomenal because he does slow down, but he fights through it like, he's never going to quit on himself. unreal power. And actually, while his defensive wrestling is still a work in progress, I don't think Trevor Peek, I think he kind of gets underrated with his top game a little bit. He's not a horrible wrestler. On the side of Yanel Ashmus, again, great shape online, man, but I kind of feel like in that Duncan fight, he showed me that he's liable to get grappled, and it might not be the most exciting thing, but I do think Trevor Peek might land a couple takedowns in this fight here too. I feel like Trevor Peek has the durability edge, the power edge on the feet, but I also understand that Trevor Peek is a brawler, and that 9 times out of 10 when he steps in the octagon, the guy across from him is more skilled than he is. I'm going to side with my Tennessee boy and Trevor Peek to get the job done. And I did take a small flyer, just a little over 1 unit, doesn't go the distance, -105. It could go to decision like the Charlie Campbell fight, but as action-packed as Trevor Peek's fights are, to get roughly 50% on not seeing the distance, I'll take it all day.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I think Trevor Peek, he's a crowd favorite. He's going to put on exciting fights, and he's from our state, so I'm certainly rooting for him, but skill-wise, I just think that, he has all the heart in the world, but skill-wise, he's just not shown me something that I want to bet at a favorite odds. So, I'm picking him, but it's not with a lot of conviction, and I just want him to get another win so we can get him re-signed, see a few more fights of his. Moving – oh, that was already the first fight of the main card. So, moving up the main card, down a few weight classes to the flyweight division, or actually to the – I mean, they haven't changed it, but it's bantamweight, right?
Yeah, I think it's
because even on the weigh-in show, they had it flyweight and on Tapology, but I think it's bantamweight.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Short notice for Cody Durden, who's stepping up here. I think Matt Schnell has the skill set to become a champion, but the chin that will, continue to harm him, where he's not going to be able to make it to the top. But if it's just the skill set, I think that he's fucking awesome, dude. I think he has good grappling. I think he has really good striking. It's the striking defense that's questionable. And he's going up against a wrestler in Cody Durden. Durden has 10 UFC fights and 1 finish, and it was over JP Buys. I think that Matt Schnell is like worlds better than JP Buys. So give me Matt Schnell. I think I took him at, I don't know, plus 265 or something crazy like that. And I hit it for like 1.5 units. I think that Schnell's a much better MMA mixed martial artist. We just are holding our breath that he doesn't get knocked out. But if this just plays out as a real fight for 15 minutes, I'll take Schnell on the scorecards. I mean, I think Cody's going to be desperation shooting by the 3rd round, and Schnell's accurate and quick enough that he's going to catch him, really piece him up on the feet. So give me Schnell.
I think Cody Durden, everybody sees the glaring chin holes of Matt Schnell and think it's going to be an easy fight to get in there and knock him out. And I think that's what Cody Durden thinks. And kind of with you, brother. I don't think it's as easy of a fight as Cody thinks it's going to be. He's one who pushes a heavy wrestling pace. That's something in my eyes that you need to be on a full camp to do. This is not something you're taking 2 weeks out to be able to put together a game plan of wrestling for 15 minutes and be successful doing it. Not to mention, man, just less than 2 months ago, he was put out bad by Bruno Silva. That uppercut, the finish, it was nasty. Like that was I'm taking 4 to 6 months off, not jumping back in here less than 2 months. Again, I feel like he's primary wrestler. Sure, does he have the power to knock out Matt Schnell? A lot of guys do. I won't be shocked if it happens. The later this fight goes, man, even the Sumu Darji fight, man, Matt Schnell's chin, sometimes it goes and sometimes you do really got to put him away. He's shown me he can fight back.
That's why I don't know why I'm even having to convince you to jump on this with me, dude.
Not only that, it's like even in Cody Durden's wins, it's like he puts his neck in precarious situations, and Matt Schnell is a very, very good. I don't hate it. I could find myself on Matt Schnell before the fight start today. I clearly think that's where the value lies.
Look, dude, if you even think it's a coin flip, you're still getting like 20% edge. He's plus 240 right now against a primary wrestler. On short notice, like you said, it did not take a lot of convincing for me. I'm like, I think that this is wide. Sure, if he gets flatlined, whatever, but this is the widest line on the card, in my opinion.
No, that makes total sense for me. One thing I also wanted to check just real quick. All
I
right.
tried to
So, I
look up
mean,
Matt Schnell stats,
well,
takedown
I
stats.
was just kind of looking. JP had already lost 2 in a row before Cody knocked him out in the first round. So it really wasn't even that impressive. I did not know that that was his only finish in 10 UFC fights. So yeah, that even
Yeah.
leads to me thinking there's a bit more value on Matt Schnell.
Yeah,
So
you look
like,
at Cody Durden's Tapology page, and the majority of his wins are by KO. But it's like he was knocking out no names on the regional scene, and the moment he steps up in competition, he's shooting for legs for 15 minutes.
I
Ain't
like it, man.
happening.
Violent fight coming up next here, 145. Kyle Nelson and Steve Garcia. Both guys willing to bite down in the pocket. Both of them have fight-ending power, and I think both of them have real dodgy chins. I feel like someone's going to go to sleep in this fight. It really kind of depends on the Kyle Nelson that shows up, though. I know Steve Garcia is going to push the pace here. He's going to get in your face early and swing bombs. But Kyle Nelson's kind of dialed back his game a little bit since stepping down to 145. Try to be a little bit more technical, try to slow the fight down a little bit more. If he does that, I do think he can probably try to take over this fight a little bit late and find himself on top. He's got the full camp here. But I do think Steve's going to get in his face early, man. And Steve's got some power. Steve's a big featherweight as well. I'm kind of looking to live bet Kyle Nelson if this gets into round 2, though. That's kind of my way I'm looking at this fight. So I'm gonna take the underdog, Kyle Nelson. Cashes a 4th underdog in a row, I think.
Damn. I don't hate it. I think that this line's also wide. It's just I am not a fan of backing Kyle Nelson. His style doesn't do it for me. It's almost like backing Neil Magny. Like even in his wins, it's probably not going to be too dominant, and
Right.
that's just not something I love to back. But I do think that if I was playing this fight, the value would be on Kyle Nelson here because Steve Garcia does seem a little one-dimensional as a fighter, and until he's proven something more, I wouldn't want to play him at this juice. So. Sure, Kyle Nelson, the pick. I think it's a toss-up fight. We get a close decision. Let's see. Moving up to the co-main event, Jessica Andrade versus Natalia Silva. Kind of a crazy line, you know. Like one, it's a women's fight. 2, it's Jessica Andrade, a former champion, and to me, it seems like she's got most of the weapons that got her to the belt originally. Still, she's still somewhat young. She's got a lot of fight miles, but she's still kind of young, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Natalia Silva looks great, but still, you know, I'm curious how she's going to look against against a former title challenger, against a former title holder, Marujao, Andrea Lee, Victoria Leonardo, Teresa Bleda. I mean, this is a huge step up in competition, and you're getting plus 250 on Jessica Andrade. What I've looked in the past on Natalia Silva, she does have an issue sometimes getting her head off the center line, and it just takes one punch from Andrade to kind of change the game plan. We might see some shots from Natalia Silva, but I think that the line is wide, so it's a layoff fight for me. If I was playing it, I'd play Jessica Andrade, but it's just not one I want to get involved with this week.
I feel the same way, man. It's like how is it plus 250 when this is Natalia Silva's hardest fight to date? You know, the girl who's experienced is Jessica Andrade, but I do think Natalia Silva's the real deal, man. I think she's a real prospect and will be a contender if she gets through Jessica Andrade here. One of my best bets I've ever made was Natalia Silva at like plus 200, plus 210 against Jasmine Jastovicius in her debut. She goes out there and out wrestles a girl who's shown really dominant wrestling in the division. So I think Natalia Silva is very well-rounded, can take the fight wherever she goes, good footwork, good speed and volume on the outside. And Jessica, while she has the power, I do think she's going to struggle a bit to get on the inside and land her punches. I told you earlier, I felt like the path of least resistance for both of these girls would be to use the grappling. You know, if you can take down Andrade, typically, you know, it's been easy in the past. She's been submitted numerous times and take the power away from her. And then Andrade, I do feel like she's going to get touched up at range with the speed and volume of Silva. So I feel like she needs to kind of get a takedown as well, kind of take the Teresa Bleda approach early in the fight. So I took a flyer on plus 700 ends by sub here. They've got 15 combined submission wins, and they've got 6 submission losses. So history's there. I think it's a sneaky little play for a fight that people think are largely going to play out on the feet. I do think there's a little bit more grappling going to be involved here than some people do. So taking a small flyer, 5 ends by sub there. Hopefully catch that one. On the Natalia Silva side, though, if I had to pick. Main event, Gilbert Burns, Sean Brady, 170. Another super close fight in my eyes, man, where the guys kind of fight very similar to as well. One thing Sean Brady has going for him, natural 170er, younger, less fight miles. And, you hear all the gym stories of when this guy gets a hold of you, extremely strong. And, he might not have the submission game of Gilbert Burns, but I do think he's a bit better of a top wrestler than Gilbert Burns is, and could find himself on top of Gilbert in this fight. But, man, when you see the experience of Gilbert Burns, the stopping power that Gilbert Burns has, the, proof of being able to go 5 rounds there, I'd way more likely, if I had to pick a money line side to bet Gilbert Burns here than Sean Brady. I'm not so quite confident that Sean Brady, when he fights adversity, is going to come through. I'm not so sure he has a hard 5 rounds in him. I don't know, man. I think he's a great prospect. I think he can beat a lot of guys. I just think this matchup is very tricky for him. But I also do think that Gilbert Burns' durability and things are declining as well, and there's super potential for a prospect like this to come in here and put Gilbert Burns away. So I'm going to pick Gilbert Burns as the underdog, but I did play 2 units. Fight doesn't go the distance, -110 here. Hoping for a finish, man.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure. It could be a great matchup for Sean Brady. Gilbert might be willing enough to stay on his back, be able to defend the submission attempts from Brady, and kind of just get controlled for 25 minutes. There is a world where I see that happening. But yeah, I have to agree. The huge red flag, Sean Brady never having gone 5 rounds. We saw him gas in the Bilal Muhammad fight. I'm not sure that Gilbert brings a pace. We saw him against Khamzat Chimaev. If you can't ground him or you can't finish him, he is going to push that pace. And I think that it'll make Sean go into some depths that he's never seen. And I think if you're getting coin flip odds on that, I totally understand why you're going on the under there. Both guys super dangerous, whether it's striking or on the mat. It's a layoff fight for me, dude. There is a world where I think that Sean is just, they have similar skill sets, but he's just better a little bit everywhere. He's younger. He's in the prime of his career, and he edges this out. So Sean's the official pick for me. In a weird way, I think Burns is the value side here because of experience and how proven he is. But I think that this is a good sit back, enjoy a main event. And yeah, hopefully my night's good coming into that fight. Ending on a fight where you can just sit back and relax. I'm going to try and get more into that because I do enjoy that. It sometimes ruins the main event when I'm on one side heavy.
Yeah.
So I think Brady is the pick for me, and I think Brady's the pick for me. Maybe by decision. I don't want to say that because I know that you're on the under, but if I'm seeing this play out, it's probably 50-50. We either see a finish or Brady by decision. I don't hate the play at all.
Nice. Talking through 12 fights this morning. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us as always. Keep an eye on Twitter later today. We'll release our cards, release some bets before the fights start, and then we'll be back next week. UFC 307, Noche, Mexican Independence Day. Supposedly about to be the best fight card the UFC's ever put on, man. So we'll see. Appreciate you hanging out with us. See you next week.
Peace.